Enjoy your last class?
Yes.
Were you with my friend Kenny?
Yes.
I love Kenny. He's my guy. He's one of my favorites. So, I am Juvie Tornado. I am a platform artist and educator for Clairol Professional, and I have been for over 20 years. I started my career kind of in this whole family, really, because I went to BeautyHealthTravel, which, as you guys know, is a counterpart of Wella and all the wonderful things that go on here at P&G. So I am so pleased to be with you. As I said to my last class, kudos to you guys for getting up on a Monday when we don't work. This makes me, I get goosies every time I say this because it really is, education is so important to me. It's what I've based my whole career on, is education. And I feel like our future depends on how educated we are as stylists. Do you guys agree?
Yes.
Right? Because there's a lot of knowledge out there. There's a lot of things that people can do on their own. On their own? No one knows what English. On their own. There's a lot of things people can do on their own. And how are we going to get to the next level? Like, how are we going to make that happen? So what is my Clairol Professional class about today? I'm going to bring out my beautiful model. This is Beth, everybody. I'm going to have you stay standing for a minute. So Beth is my beautiful model. Now, what kind of a class do you think this is going to be about? Highlighting, right? Something about blonding, okay? So what this class is all going to be about hair painting, balayage, ecaille trend, talking about techniques, how to do all these things, how to manage all of this. Also talking about products and tools that we use in order to create balayage or hair painting. How many of your customers have come in and asked for these services, just by a show of hands? Come on, you guys. A couple people right here. See? You were trying to be shy. Connie was trying to be shy. So this is things that people are coming and asking for. I have a lot of people sit down and say, I want balayage. What is balayage? I don't know. I just want it. It's in the magazine.
What is it? I've been out the shop a while.
Right. So you're like, what is balayage, right? Balayage is just a fancy word for hair painting. And hair painting generally is a little more freehand than those of you who are traditional foilers. How many are traditional foilers are really good at foiling? Have got that down. Foil all the time, right? You got it down. So how hard is it to transition to something that has no foil, that you kind of paint it on? It's kind of intimidating a little bit, right? A little bit? Yeah. So this, I want to try to clear some of that stuff up. So we're going to start with my model, and I'm going to try to get into showing you stuff sooner than I did in the last class because I wanted to show more. Let me just talk briefly about her. So you could imagine that maybe her hair is hair painted, right? Does it look like she could kind of be hair painted, not necessarily like a foil? So come over here in front here. So I want to tell you what I actually did and what she started out as today. So when she came in this morning, she pretty much had a very similar look to what you see. But her natural level was a 7. She had about 25% gray, so she naturally is a blonde. I love blondes that want to be blonde. They're the easiest ones to get, right? But what she had mentioned to me is, number one, she always feels like she has roots when she leaves the salon, because she does. Because any client who's been getting highlights and or lowlights for a period of time, more than a year, their hair is colored all over. So they're always going to have roots. This is my solution to the root problem in one step. Okay, so we're going to start with this, and then we're going to back up into the techniques of hair painting, ecaille, balayage, and what all the differences are. But I used on her hair, don't tell anybody, shh, that's my secret. I use this lovely little product right here, Clairol Liquid Color. Okay, 10 minutes. This isn't the neutral I use, but it represents neutral. I used 9N and 9A. 3 parts ash, 1 part neutral. The 1 part of neutral is just to address those little bitty baby grays. 9A, 9N. 20 volume developer. 9A, so like a 9 ash, a very light ash blonde, and a very light neutral blonde.
9A,
Right, 9A, like as an apple, but for ash, and then 9N for neutral. So 3 parts of the ash. That 1 part was just for those little grays that she doesn't want to have to see. I used it for 10 minutes. So I put it in a bottle. I applied it to that level 7 with the 25% gray with my bottle all the way through very quickly. Then I misted her ends because a lot of times you guys will be doing this at the bowl. She's already been hair painted. It just, she came to me hair painted. But what she had was roots. So this is how I blended it in. 9A, 9N, 3 parts the ash, 1 part the neutral. 5 minutes at the root, misted the ends, 5 minutes through the ends, washed it off. And seamless this is. There's no more lines. What you saw before up here at her root was you could see where her highlights had grown out. But you don't see that anymore. And you know, I for sure come up after and like look through her hair, like go through it. It just softened the base and it toned the ends a little bit. How many of you do toning when you do lightening or highlighting? Okay, so a lot of you. Okay, so this is a room where you guys understand the importance of toning the hair when you have a blonde. This is the difference between us and them. Okay? Go ahead and buy your product at Sally's because you know what? You have the knowledge and the education that brings you this kind of a look. That can go into the salon and say, she doesn't need hair painting. She needs her base lightened a little bit and she needs a toner. So I just essentially kind of saved my client money. You know, I mean, there was no reason for me to hair paint because she already had color so close to the root. So it's also about assessing the situation. Okay, let's have you. So there's a lot of different tools and things you can use. Can you do balayage and hair painting and use foil? Yeah, why not? If you feel like you need to separate some hair from another hair, you can absolutely use foil. Can you use saran wrap? Sure, that's a great cling product. Love that cling stuff, right? Can you use cotton? Cotton, right? Because why would we want to use cotton, maybe? Especially at the root, right? If it's little, you know, if the hair is fine specifically. So if their hair is fine and you're doing hair painting and the hair, like the color bleeds through to the underneath color, you're going to get a little fluff, you know? And we've all had it. Again, this is why I'm a big fan of the toner. Kind of mutes the little fluff. You know what I mean? Because it happens to everyone. We are not robots. We are creative, like, thinking people, but we cannot create exactly the same. I love when someone says, and you guys all have heard this, do what you did last time. No, I might have the formula written down. Well, like, really? I don't know exactly. Like, I'm not going to necessarily hold it. You know what I mean? I'm going to create the same look, but I might go about it a little bit differently, and that's okay, because we're people. We're individuals. There's all of us in this room. We all do hair. So nobody's going to do it exactly the same every time. So with regards to the tools that you can use and having something like cotton, when you have fine hair, knowing that when you get towards this round of the head where the hair won't be hanging down, right? So we know that like on this head, if we start to work with this and we start getting above the round of the head and we lay the hair down on top and it's got color, we might start seeing some business we don't really want to see. So that's where I might use some cotton. But I will tell you the other thing that helps is really liking the product you're working with and knowing what the consistency of that product is. For lightening, BW2 is amazing. I like it mostly in foil. So on my straighter version of my hair painting, that was actually BW2 on the left side, on the right side, and then I used KoleidoColor's blue on the left side. This mannequin head that I did more of the ecaille, that is just the KoleidoColor's blue. KoleidoColors, who's heard of KoleidoColors? Any like old school people ever heard of KoleidoColors? Okay, so I got somebody over here, I got a fan. Okay, well, I really hope that if you leave here with nothing today that you all get KoleidoColors because it is one of my very favorite lightening products. Here's why. Excellent consistency for hair painting. Fantastic. Tonal powder lightener. So it has some toning ability. You might not need a toner with a lot of times with KoleidoColors. Uses Clairol Professional Developers. Smells like candy. Smells like candy. Literally. I'm not even kidding. So who doesn't want a product that smells good? Like I know when I use certain things, I'm like, whoo, I'm standing back myself. But something that can lighten hair that smells really good, and she's gonna like pass them around so you guys can like take a whiff, and you can't take a whiff. It smells really, it's got a really nice fragrance to it. So product is is really important. So not just your tools, but your products. So saran wrap, foils. This is another tool that a lot of people use for hair painting. This is the Wella hair painting palette. And I don't use this regularly in the salon. I use this when I have very, very long hair. I kind of freehand hair paint. I used to use it always, and then I kind of just evolved. And that's what I want you guys to really get from this class, if nothing else. And that is that there's no right or wrong way to do hair painting, as long as it comes out good and looks good and you and your client are happy at the end. That's really, really the bottom line. So everything I'm going to show you is just different ways to go about it. You might find that working with the paddle is the way you like to do it. But you might find that the way I do it, just freehand painting and kind of paint your ends and have your towel and just going about it might be the way. So everyone is a little bit different. But what's great about this is that this is called a well. You put your product in here and you kind of scoop the product out of here and you hold your palette and you can paint on it. So that's what's great about it. This is my favorite, most important tool, and that is a nice angled brush. Okay, so comparatively to your traditional tint applicator brush, this is, you know, a little bit wider, just generally speaking. Even like from the side, you can see the bristles are like fatter. It works better. So this is the things you like figure out, develop, and like understand as you go through like trying to figure out your path and what works for you. So I'm going to show you some with this. I'll show you a couple with this, like what that looks like. I'm going to show you how I do my freehand. I'm also going to show you the ecaille, more of that technique, because it involves using a foil. So someone in the last class asked me, like, you know, what's the difference between a foil and like using saran wrap? A foil is going to give you some structure. So when you need to like stick something under it, just like you would this paddle with balayage, that's what a foil will do. Saran wrap, I see a lot of people, they will literally take a section, like almost like a horizontal section across and just keep going across the head like this. They'll bring their sections down and just lay saran wrap on top. Perfectly fine. Works. Awesome. It's not how I do it, but it works great. It's a great technique. It's a great way to do it. So that's my point, is like you guys have to figure out what works for you, and I'm going to show you a whole bunch of different things. One might work for you better than another. So let's mix up some koleidocolors. I think I talked about most of the tools and the things that you would have. I prefer to use a scale when I mix up color. All right, so I'm going to mix up some of this lovely koleidocolors. Last class I mixed more than I needed, so maybe I'll mix a little bit less this time. And I usually do like 2 to 1, so 1 part of the powder and then 2 parts of the developer. But again, consistency is really important, and the consistency that you like isn't necessarily going to be the consistency that I would like. And whatever is the best consistency for you. So with lightener, even though I always start measuring, I start out measuring, but sometimes like, if I feel like I need to add a little more developer or a little more powder, I just will. So it has to be the right consistency. But again, here's the beautiful thing about the scale and why I refer to it. So I know that this mixture for me, I like it 1 part lightener and 2 parts developer. When I go to mix again, excuse me, just breathed in a couple persulfates. When I go to mix it again, I wrote it down and I know I like that consistency. So that's really the main difference. And it's sort of thick, but someone also asked in the last class, like, is it going to stay moist in the hair? And that's, again, another thing that I love about koleidocolors, is it's going to stay really creamy and moist in the hair. It's not going to dry out. And you don't want something that's going to dry out, because what happens when lightener dries out? It don't work anymore, right? So, and again, that's another reason why I might put saran wrap over my whole entire thing. Like if I was working, I might actually just put the saran wrap just so that I can like cover it and the moisture stays inside. So it might be like 1 over the top and then like 1 kind of around and I kind of cup it. Looks very nice and small. So let's start off with, I'm going to start off with, and I'll like do some on this side and then I'll do some on that side. Yes?
So you're using 20 volume virgin hair, not colored hair.
Right, so her question is, am I using 20 volume on virgin hair? Yes and no, because this is color treated.
So 20 pounds will lift color.
Right, and a lot of times, like if it was darker than this, you might have to use like 30. You know, I don't, I'm not a big fan of anything over 30 with lightener. I'm just not. I'm very like, I want your hair to look nice and not damaged. And any of you who've ever used lightener in this room, like we've all experienced some damage on one client or another. Hopefully not at our hand, but maybe it's come through. And a lot of clients like understand the risk of I have my hair's already light, but I want it lighter. And this has come up a lot with me with balayage and doing hair painting through the ends. Because guess what? A lot of people's ends aren't so great. And then we're going to go ahead and light them with an ombre. So there's a lot of conversation that needs to happen with your client about how that works and what they need to do to take care of their hair in order to maintain that kind of a look. I think that's really, really important. Okay, so I'm going to start over here. And so let me show you first. I didn't show this in the last class, but I want to show, like, if I was going to start in the back. I'll turn this around in a second. How I start my sections for if I was working from the back. 90% of when I do this, they already have color. They already have, like, some highlights in their hair. Nobody's really a virgin anymore. You know what I mean? Like there's no virgin heads of hair. I mean, everyone's got some kind of color or something. So, generally speaking, when I start in the back, which isn't often, but let's say you get someone who hasn't done it and they want a whole new do, okay? So, this is basically my sectioning in the back towards the face. So, I'll keep going up this way. All the way through the hair. So just keep dropping hair down, dropping hair down. So I'll do one in the back just because like we can. I'll show you guys on this side first. So what I'm going to do with this section is when I hold this section down like this, okay, let me get my little well ready here. I'm going to put some product in the well. Okay. So I'm going to pick this whole section up right here. Okay. And then I'm going to scoop out of my well, and I'm just going to paint on. Got a little lot right there, but if you put too much on in one area, just spread it out. Just spread it out. Okay, so I'm holding the hair on the bottom. That's really important. You got to hold this hair kind of tight so you can paint on the surface. Am I painting all the way through this section underneath?
No.
No. Why wouldn't I want to paint all the way through to the section underneath? This is right, I don't want it to bleed. It's going to get on all the other hair, but I'm really putting product on the top. Okay, is that clear? Can you guys see that I'm really, like I'm not playing around with the product I'm putting here. Where I do lighten it up is where it's closer to the root. So then when I get to the ends, that's where I'm going to kind of lay my board down, scoop, and just use the board through the ends to blend that in. And on the ends, I generally will like go all the way through because it's not going to get anything else. But the consistency of this product is really so fantastic that you can just see, like just working with it. No foil. Foil down? Yeah. If you felt like, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm showing you different techniques. If this scares you, by all means, put a foil down. Put a foil down, and then when you feel comfortable letting go of the foil, try it a couple. Hey, maybe you do a couple with foils and you try in between the foils that you paint. A lot of people start out like that. And there is nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. You know, if you start out with foils and you do a couple sections of foils and then you want to paint in between, then you're not, like it's not hurting anything or anyone. Brush around a little bit. But I'm not being, like, I'm putting product on there. Like, don't be mistaken that I'm actually putting a good amount of product on the top surface. So generally I work with a lot of chevrons. This is a more like traditional way of doing hair painting. That way you're getting like a varied like kind of line when you're working and you're pulling that hair really, really tight as you're working down to the bottom and making sure that it's feathered towards the top. And then I'm just going to switch over, put the hair on the board on the ends. Get a little bit more out of here. Just feather it. And then I'm just going to leave it down. Boom. You do all the hair in the back. I put like, it's not like resting on anything really, it's just resting on the saran wrap. And then when it's all done and I put that one like kind of over the top, I kind of like just fold them all together. So it looks really neat and they can sit and have coffee and read magazines or whatever. So that is like traditional hair painting. I want to show you what it looks like more in the front. If you like leave hair in between, you're going to get more of like a highlighted hair painting technique. More traditional looking like a highlight. Okay, so that's the only difference. And where you go up is up to you. Like if you want to keep it real ombre and just do mids and ends, that's fine. But sometimes in the front of the face, like even on a traditional ombre, like I'll go up in the front, like around the hairline, because they want to see like little light pieces around their face, even if it's like mostly through the mids and ends. So moving into the front, so you can see like if I was going to continue, right, I was going to continue my section, boop, 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 I would get here at some point, okay? I would come around and I would get here, which is kind of like right in front of the ear. Right? So that makes sense, right? I would kind of like swing around there. So clip that hair out of the way, and then maybe like I'm going to focus on this piece just right here. I'll probably do something here, but this might have already been painted from the back. But I want to say something else about hair painting and balayage and what makes it look different and unique is that there's a lot of background with hair painting. Meaning you've got like a pop of color and then you've got base. You've got like a natural base color or you've got hair that's already tinted. If you're working on hair that's already tinted, you're always going to want to use a 20 volume with lightener that's not going to be in a foil. Because you're not going to get much out of anything else if it's dark and it's tinted. And maybe even 30. But with this, a lot of the background is important. So, because if you don't have any background, you don't see the light. If there's no dark, you can't see the light. It's just all light. So a lot of times, how do you switch a traditional highlight client to a hair painting? That's always like what people find tricky. I'm like, let it grow out a little bit, and I create a base. I basically reverse what I'm doing with the light with dark. I go in, even if with their natural, and they don't really have a base color, just so I can paint down a little bit. And I might leave, and I might add lightener around the face to kind of create that look. So you can switch people from one technique to another, and you can go back and forth between them. I just love that we have an option of different things that we can do. So again, like, this is kind of a very specific area that you want to make sure that you really frame. Let me put a little more color in my well. I'm just going to show like this in the front to you guys both with the paddle, and then I'm going rogue, then I'm going Julie style because I work a little quickly. You know, I want to get it done. The idea is you get it done in the same amount of time that you do a regular highlighting, right? Because if it takes you longer, you know, it's not going to be advantageous. You're not going to be likely to book it into your schedule. So you want to try to work quickly. And the board might be the quick way for you. You know, I just kind of go off and I don't really use my board so much. I just really just like hair paint through the hair and put it down on my saran wrap and let all the hair hang on top. Unless I'm doing fine hair, I put a couple little and that's about it. So, but can you guys see how great this brush is too for, you know, doing this kind of technique? Is just being able to get it there on the side. So, again, I'm like going up pretty high, torso, scalp, feathering up there, being a little heavier with my saturation down to the bottom. And this is like definitely like an area I want to focus on, like right in front here, because I want that really special highlight, like right around her face. And I'll show you when I get into my techniques. Like I have my little pieces that are like my money pieces. They're the ones that make me the money. So there again is like you know, you can go up through the middle, like you can do whatever you want with it. I mean, you know, if you want to make another little like line like that, it doesn't always have to be like like a chevron. It doesn't always have to like look like a chevron shape. But if I thought I would get it on her face, I would just put some saran wrap down or I'd put a foil down. I'm not trying to get it on her skin, but that's kind of how, you know, what it's going to look like.
So are you going to remix so that you stay the same strength when you get to the other side? Or when you get close to the top so it all comes up at the same time?
Right, so she's asking like, do you remix when you get to the other side or as you're going along so that it stays the same strength? Absolutely. if you know that like you start out, sometimes what I'll do is I'll start out with 10 and end with 30. But this is a very slowed down version of me like in the salon. You know,
So
just
you're gonna
like
mix it all at
show.
the same time?
I generally do. And then I tone it. I tone it all. But I very often switch at least one time. So I start off, generally it's 20 and 30 that I do. I'll start off with 20 and then I'll end with 30. I usually mix half my, what I know I'm gonna use, and I start out with 20 volume and then I'll go remix and go 30. And then it's all done kind of at the same time by bumping it up just a little notch. That was an excellent question, by the way. Okay, so so I did this side. Let me show you guys on this.
Bleach and some lower, like a darker color.
Definitely. So she's asking like if they're
Could
lighter
be
and you want to add some
Either
depth, can
on
you
the
add
same section or in between.
in between? So you can do a low light within this whole hair painting element. Again,
And the same free-handed.
you know what, that it's hard to say. It depends on the product you're using. Generally, like if I'm gonna add some deeper pieces, I would say that 9 times out of 10 I just foil that in the same way. In the same way. But I usually will just foil it in. Or, like I said, I go in and like create a little bit darker base and bring it down. And then I might just add some lighter pieces like around the front. But you can definitely put dark and light. I'm not super comfortable with lightener out next to color out. So, yeah, but you can still do all the like lightening freehand and then just like same way, same sectioning, pick it up and maybe just put it in a foil. Or lay that saran wrap down. Because saran wrap would work great in that situation.
Yeah.
Then you can just take a piece of saran wrap, lay it on top of your
Because
light
that
base.
would be the same type of brushing that you're
Yes.
doing. Because in the foil it might be like strands.
Yes, exactly. Because a lot of it, like you said, the brushing, a lot of it is like the stroke
Yeah.
that you do. You know, the stroke.
That makes it naturally.
What time do I have to? 11:15, right? Or 11:20?
I want to say 11:05.
Oh,
You get
no.
Another question real quick.
Uh-huh.
For the angle that you hold the hair,
Yes.
is it a better angle than another, like 90 or?
That is a really good question. So what is my angle that I'm holding the hair? Like what is the better angle to hold the hair? And you're actually pulling it down. You're pulling the hair down and you're pulling, like I'm pulling hard on her hair because I'm gonna create like a flat surface to paint on. So when you do hair painting, you definitely are gonna pull and pinch. So you're holding that hair down because even if you use a board, you're really not using a board at the top. Like I see a lot of people where they stick the board underneath like that and then they paint. It's just, for me, you don't need to. The board is the hair's the board. On the ends you kind of need it so that you don't like get it all over your hands. It looks neater. The application looks a little bit neater. So let me grab a little bit more color in here. And I'll show you after this, I'll go to the next section to you guys too. And I'll show you how, sorry. I wish I had a 360-degree version of myself. So again, like around the face, like I always like very much concentrate on kind of like this. Like I always want to get like a nice soft piece that's going to be right around the face. And you know how like when you foil, this is one of the best ones. Like, which angle do you really go in? Do you go in like horizontal? Do you go vertical? Do you like slightly horizontal? Like hairlines are like this. Like there's not a really good way to get at it with a foil. A foil is like has a line and an edge. So with hair painting, you can get so nicely like right at the root in a way that you never can with a foil. You just can't get there. So that is one of the things that I would say for me has made me like the most like kind of happy about this technique being like really popular and just wanting to be better at it. I mean, honestly, when I first started doing, like when this whole ombre, hair painting thing got really popular, I would you like back comb the hair a lot and then you just put the foil on the bottom and then you paint through the bottom on a foil. I mean, that's how I started. But that's not how I do it now because I've evolved. I've been educated and I've practiced a lot. And so that's how I've changed the way I do it. And I do it so much more efficiently now. And I always get really good results now. I'm not afraid anymore. Before I was like, what am I doing? Like I was not sure about, my technique. I hadn't really perfected it yet. So I think a lot of it is just working on like getting that, you know, perfected a little bit. But that's kind of what that looks like. And when you're hair painting, if you're using a petal, like I said, you're only really using it for that last little bit. And that's good here. Yeah.
Okay, the next one.
So,
yeah.
The next, are you gonna skip one and it doesn't get all messy?
Right, so she's asking like the next thing that I bring down, like am I gonna skip it so that this hair doesn't get on this hair, right? That's what your concern is. And that would be your concern for sure with any kind of hair painting. Is the hair gonna touch the other hair? Now this hair is gonna touch the other hair, okay? If I was doing this in the salon, I would take the very next section right here and I would just lay it down. It's not, I'm not smashing it to the head. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes, like, if you feel like the hair is really, like, heavy, I spray, like, a little hairspray in their hair. Or, like, dry shampoo, you know? So it, like, kind of sits it off of the head. If their hair's, like, oily or greasy or heavy, like, you got to put something in it before you're going to go and do something like this. You know, finer hair, same kind of thing. You got to rough it up a little bit before you're going to go in there and hair paint. And like I said, above the ridge, like, just use cotton so that you don't get one thing on another. If you put, like, just a little piece of cotton, like let's go back to it. So if I just put a little piece of cotton, like right here, and I lay that down, it's just gonna lift it out from the head, so that doesn't happen.
Thank you.
But I really, the more I do it, the less I feel like I need any of those things. And a lot of it comes down to consistency of product, and like my stroke, and saturation. And it only comes with time and practice. That's really, it's the only thing I can tell you about that for sure. So I'm gonna go on this side. I'm going to show you guys, I'm going to go up a little bit because I want to show you like kind of how I do it in the salon. And I generally don't use my paddle so much anymore, but like this is one thing that I do a lot of. And let me turn her a little bit because I feel like she's towards me. But like I do what I call my little like money piece, you know. I just get like this nice little piece of hair like this, right, like this. And then I just go in with my lightener and I literally I lighten this whole piece on the surface, all the way down to the bottom. And this is where you would use a board. So traditionally, like as far as like the most professional way to do it is not to put it in your hand, but I just go very quickly. I clean my hands on my towel and I move on. But this is like this piece right here, for me, is like what I call a money piece. Because your client's going to see that one highlight right in the front right there, and it's just like, oh, I love that. So you don't have to do a lot. You just do like 4 of these, like around the face, like, you know, like you're a perfect example. I mean, your hair color's beautiful, but like you're a brunette, and you're like, oh, Julie, I'm really bored. Like, I want to switch it up. What will you do? Boom, boom, boom. I do a couple of these, a nice little like shiny toner all over her hair, and I have just gone from 0 to hero, big time. You know, and if she doesn't want to keep it up, we just make her hair all like a nice rich brown. You know, it's just the way you can evolve it is what's so cool. So let me do that kind of on this side. Okay, so again, like talking about that like kind of money piece, but again, I'm always like working on a little bit of verticals, but I'm always looking for something that's going to be really like great, like right around the face. So like maybe like right in here for her, that would be like a cool. Because the other thing is like some of this might go on that side or it might stay on this side, so you get a little bit of everything here. So just grab that piece. And literally when I do it, I just paint the whole thing. So I usually start in the middle so I can see like how much product I have on my brush, and then I work lighter up to the top. And I literally, when I do put it in my hands, it's just really on the bitty bitty ends. But I just feel like I get a really good saturation through the ends, and then I just nicely wipe my hands off and keep going. So, I mean, again, that would be another like huge like money piece right there that would just create a lot of dimension. And again, it's like having more. If you don't have enough background, it's not going to stand out. So that's why you don't have to do a lot. Like the days of like me standing behind the chair and doing like a full head foil, hells to the no. Don't want to do it anymore because I can do beautiful work without having to work that hard. So I don't want to anymore. Okay, let me show you guys because I got to show you ecaille because it's the only trend I haven't shown you, and I know we don't have a lot of time, but I'm going to do it really fast. So I want to show you the technique. You're going to go up the head, not skipping any hair when you do this, in the same exact way I showed you that I've been taking sections, kind of vertically towards the face, okay? So this section right here, okay, this would be my ecaille. I'll take this section, okay, and now I'm going to use a foil for this. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to back comb very gently, maybe twice, okay? I'm going to take a foil. I did that much more gracefully than I did the last class. I'm just going to place the foil underneath like that, okay? Very, very gently placing the foil. Then I'm going to literally, where's your face? There you are. Because I want it to kind of fall like in this cheekbone area. So I literally am going to paint just like this onto the foil. I'm kind of angling it a little bit, but not in the way that I was angling for, and I'm saturating, okay? So having the board and or having a foil behind is going to give you like more saturation. And then I'm going to do the end. I'm going to angle it. A little more product here. So I kind of like swipe across almost, but then I like go back and like rough it out. Okay? Let me turn so you guys can see this. So that's what it looks like inside the foil. Okay? So it kind of creates that more tortoise shell kind of look. It's really beautiful on brunettes. And blondes. Blondes too. So now for this, I would just put a foil like on top of it. And I'll do the next section, since I did it for this side, right? I did it for you guys. I'll do this next section and show you guys how I would proceed after that. Okay? So I would need a little bit of an effect. So now I'm going to put the foil in. I'm only going to paint that pattern like on the bottom. Saturate it all the way through, but only through the bottom of the hair. Guys. So that was the very next section, just the bottom part. So do you know what I would do with the next section? What I did with the previous section. So you see how you can get those like highs and lows in there? You'd think it would look weird if you did it all middle, bottom. Actually, that could look cool too. I haven't tried that. But to get this tortoise shell kind of effect, you do one section where you do kind of the mid and then the end, and then you do the next section where you only do the ends. And then you just keep putting a foil on top with this. So there is still a need for the foil, but I'm not putting foils in this hair in any kind of traditional way. I'm actually being very non-traditional with how I'm placing the foil in the hair. So, it's not going to stay. We'll pretend like it stayed. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I want to wrap up because I'm over time. I'm sorry, Angie. I'm so sorry. You guys have a great class coming up. I'm going to be here and around for anyone who has any questions. I thank you so much for your time. I hope you got something to bring back to the salon with you.
Thank you.
I'm Julie Cornejo, and I'm with Clairol Professional.